Hello, my name is Roland Shear. I'm the founder and the game developer for Creative Youth Presentations. And in this segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about the combining of fractions. I have a number of fraction games, and they all basically play the same way. They're different formats of soccer, bowling, fishing, and so forth. But overall, the actual way you play it is the same. And so we're going to look at how you combine fractions, and we're going to be using a method that is sometimes referred to as the common multiple or the common denominator type approach. Now, when I was learning fractions, if you had, like, for example, let's take, for example, two fractions that we've got here, 1 over 2, 2 over 5. If I was going to use the common multiple approach, I would multiply 2 times 5 is 10, and so I would make an equivalent to this that's over 10 and this over 10. This would become a 5 over 10, this would become a 4 over 10. So this method that I'm going to be going through is based on that. But when we're playing the fraction game, it's important that you don't take time to write anything down. You just simply look at your 5-card hand, and there's 5 fractions, and you can add, subtract, multiply, or divide any 2 of those fractions to get an answer. Now that sounds a little hard at first for people, but like anything, if you practice over a matter of a couple weeks or so, this will start to make sense, and you'll find out you can do it. Now, we're going to look a little later into this clip of a fraction drill. This is when I'm tutoring fractions. I'll use a drill like this to tutor to see if they really do understand how to do it. And one of the ways to remember the procedure here is this phrase, x underline equals x. So that's what you want to remember. X underline equals x. That stands for the add, subtract, multiplying, and dividing of the fractions. So here's what it looks like if you put it down. Here's your x with a line under it, x with a line under it equals x. Now the reason that we're stating it that way is that, and we want to remember, we always start in the upper left. I'll show you what I mean by that. Here we have 2 fractions, 1 over 2, 2 over 5. I said here we start in the upper left. So here we start with that 1, and you start with that upper left in every one of those combinations. So you always start upper left, and you'll remember x underline, that stands for add of fractions. X underline, again, this is subtracting fractions. Equals is talking about multiplying, and x by itself is talking about division. So what do we mean by x underline? In adding the fractions, you're going to start up here, you're going to do 3 multiplications. 1 times 5, 2 times 2, 2 times 5. There's your x. 1 times 5, 2 times 2. There's your x. 2 times 5, there's your underline. For the subtraction, you're going to say 1 times 5, 5, minus 2 times 2, 4. There's the x. Underline is 10. So when you're adding, you're going to have a 5 over 4, or 5 plus 4, because you're adding. So that's going to be 5 and 4 is 9 over 2 times 5 is 10. If you're subtracting, you're doing those same multiplications to form the x and the underline, except now it's going to be 5 minus 4, which is 1 over 10. If you're multiplying, that's the equal. You go across the top and across the bottom. There's your equal sign. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Now you're dividing, you just have a simple x, you don't have the underline, because you're going to start up here again, but you're going to have 1 times 5 is 5, top number, over 2 times 2 is 4 for the lower number. So all you have to do is remember x underline equals x. And what I tell students while you're practicing this, write this down on a piece of paper so you can see it. So if you come up with dividing of two fractions, you need an x, you don't need the underline. So you know it's going to be top number, bottom number. So if you write this down, you'll be able to follow the procedure. Now, let's look again at adding and subtracting. Here, you're doing 2 multiplications, this and 1 across the bottom. For subtraction, 1 times 5, 2 times 2, and 2 times 5. When you're subtracting, you're going to say a 5 minus 4. When you're adding, you're going to say 5 plus 4 is 9 over 10. So adding and subtracting, you're always going to have the same number on the bottom. Multiplying across top, across the bottom, dividing, top number, bottom number. So that's what this little phrase is all about. Now here's the way, as you practice this is what you should be able to do without writing anything down. If I give you 2 fractions, 2/3 and 1/5, and I say add, subtract, multiply, and divide, with some practice you should be able to say add, 10 plus 3 is 13 over 15. Subtract, 10 minus 3 is 7 over 15. Multiply, 2 over 15. Divide, 10 over 3. Next set, 2/4, 1/3. Add, 6 plus 4 is 10 over 12. Subtract, 6 minus 4 is 2 over 12. Multiply, 2 over 12. Divide, 6 over 4. Next set. Now that's the kind of speed that you need to get when you're playing the fraction games, because what you're going to have on the board, you're going to have an answer you're looking for. And you have to remember 2 things here. One is you need to be asking, can I make that answer? Let's say that the answer you're making, if you're playing the fish game and you're trying to catch a fish and it's got 2 over 10 on it. If you can make 2 over 10, you can catch that fish. However, if you can make an equivalent of that, you can catch that fish. An equivalent, if you reduce that, it's 1 over 5. If you make it a 20, it would be 4 over 20. So if you can make 4 over 20, you can catch that fish. If you can make 1 over 5, you can catch that fish. So it's important to get a good handle on how to come up with equivalent answers. Now this is a little bit high level, but as you play this thing and practice, you'll see how to do this. And you'll get better at it and quicker at it. But when you're playing that game, I want the student of mine to be able to look at that 5-card hand and tell me, when you see a 2 over 10, can you make an answer 2 over 10 or an equivalent? You should be able, within 1 minute of looking at all those fractions, and be able to tell me, yes, I can make it. That's how quickly you should be able to do it. Now that's going to take some practice, but this is how you set up for working with the fractions. So what you need to do is look at this clip, stop it, make sure you understand that part of it, go replay it, practice a number of different combinations, and if you do that faithfully in a very short time, you should be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide those 5 fractions in your hand without too much trouble. Now, in another clip, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you look for to see what you need, what cards you need for that answer. So we'll do that in a separate clip. So take this clip to try to get to the point where you'll be able to quickly run through that drill, just like I did. So if I say add, subtract, multiply, and divide that set, you would say add 5 plus 4, 9 over 10. Subtract 5 minus 4, 1 over 10. Multiply 2 over 10, subtract or divide 5 over 4. You should be able to say it very quickly like that. So try to see what you can do with this, and if you have any need to get in touch with me, the contact information is on the clip here, and feel free to send me an email and talk to me about it. Let me know how it's working for you. So we'll close this portion of it now, and thanks for listening, and we'll put on some more clips in the future.